Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Major HIT-33FB9. This is a drill guide for extension flush bolts. Here it is. Really nice blue, possibly even gunmetal type anodized aluminum. Probably better to show it to you this way, I would think. As this is probably the orientation in which you're going to use it. So what is this? This is a tool that's going to allow you to most certainly better than freehand drill that hole from the top or the bottom of the door to the cavity of where your manual lever style flush bolt will go. The ubiquitous Rockwood 555, the Ives 458, the Hager 282, the 708F from DCI, and 3915 by Trimco, and if that's the right part number, and down the line. So when you are doing manual extension flush bolts in a wood door, you need to do if you're going to do that by yourself or in the field, you're going to need to create the mortise prep for the body and the plate, and the mortise in the top or bottom of the door for the guide, but you're going to have to drill that long hole. Well, that's a dreadful proposition if you don't try it freehand. There's just very little chance that you'll be able to successfully pull that off. Not that you can't drill a straight hole. The problem is in wood door construction, you generally have laminated, two pieces of wood laminated together that are the stiles, generally a hardwood species, backed by maybe another hardwood species or maybe not a hardwood species. If it's a architectural caliber door, you're certainly going to have a hardwood species on the outside, and then probably hardwood as well. But the point is where those two are laminated together or glued together, that's where that hole needs to go. So it's really awful trying to drill it, even with the best of shop arrangement in terms of templates, jigs, knowledge, drill bits, things of that nature. However, people do it. Now, you shouldn't necessarily be having to drill a lever extension flush bolt in a wood door. You should use a wood door style, which is like a corner style flush bolt. You don't have to drill any long, dangerous holes where you can breach out of the top or breach through the face of the door. And if it's a fire-rated door, you wouldn't be doing that work at all anyway. That was close. At least you wouldn't be doing it outside of a UL-listed and licensed machine shop, is the point. If you were such a shop, you could use this tool to do that prep and not violate the listings of your door manufacturer. So let's take a couple of basic dimensional properties of this, and then we're going to really dive into it. Overall length, or height, I suppose, about 5 3/8. Overall width, about 2 3/4. Out here, about 1.5 inches. Over here, about 1/2 inch. Length of the drill guide, the projection is about 2.5 inches, and that's certainly, I was about to say that's certainly for a 1/2 inch bit. I actually don't recall the size of that bit. It may be 9/16. Let's take a look. We sell the long extension bits for that as well. Yeah, that drill guide is 0.507, so that's going to be a 1/2 inch bit that's going to go in there. That'll slide in there really nice. This is going to include these. I haven't looked at the instructions yet, but I'm sure that these two pieces, or these two plates that are here held in with those screws, those are shims. The way that it's set now is probably not for any door. You probably have to remove possibly, well, maybe it is okay the way it is. You should be able to do 1 3/4 inch thick door. Oh yeah, this is good the way it is. You'll be with those two shims installed, you can do 1 3/4 inch thick door, because that's going to center down at 7/8. You remove one of those 1/8 inch shims, now you'll center this on a 2 inch door. You remove both of those 1/8 inch shims, now you'll center this on a 2 1/4 inch thick door. What you've got to figure out how to do, though, is how to fixture or clamp this to the door. Now, you can just use a C-clamp or any sort of clamp of your liking. The factory does have a provision, these two holes right here, with the included screws, And that Allen wrench is obviously for manipulating the tool, the assembly and disassembly of the tool should you need to ever. You might want to clean the parts, especially if you're doing mineral core work. But those two screws are meant to allow you to actually screw that to the top or the bottom of the door with just two fasteners. That wouldn't be how I would prefer to do it. I've never tried to drill such a strategically difficult hole by just having a couple of drywall screws basically hold it in, because there's a lot of pushing and then pulling out, pushing and then pulling out, push, pull it out, and sometimes you got to bring that drill bit, not sometimes, you have to bring that drill bit basically all the way out to evacuate all of the chips that have built up in that twist bit, that extension, that long length jobber's extension bit. And I'll see if I can show you a bit that would be appropriate for doing this work. So let's switch to the screen view and let's look at the instructions, and that will allow me to go through the steps of how you're going to use this. Let's do that now. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Okay, here is the drill guide for extension flush bolts. Let's take a look at the supporting images that I have, just showing different views that I've taken of the item, in no particular order, by the way. That might be considered the view that you would see from the style of the door. The instructions, the wrench, and the screws that are included, they include, looks like about 6. You only need 2 at a time. I'm thinking they're planning on breakage, which to me is a something to be incorporated into how you go about attaching it. The back side, well, that's what the door is going to see. The bottom view, so to speak. The inside. The just showing the engraving that's been done there. Another perspective showing the 2 screws, how you'll remove those shims. The label itself. I know the next document is the installation instructions, or at least the ones that come with the unit. Before we get there, let's take a look at the rest of the extended description. Drill guide for extension flush bolts. 1 3/4, 2 and 2 1/4 inch thick doors as predicted. Used to guide the hole from door top to bottom to the flush bolt mortise cavity. Attaches to top or bottom of door with 2 drywall screws. Priced and sold per each. Here's a product brochure. Let's take a look at that quickly. Okay. Yeah. So different router templates are here. And this is just a small section of the full line catalog. Router template for flush bolt guide. This will allow you to prep that. Oh, don't quote me, but 15/16 or 1 inch by, I think, 2 1/4. The flush bolt guide, the piece of steel that will have the D-shaped prep in it, and likely 2 holes for screws. Router template for 2 1/4. Okay, so this is for like a 161 or could be a 160, but just a cylindrical lock prep. Anyway, this is what we're focusing on. The balance of the extended description is just the manufacturer's stock image. So let's dive into the installation instructions, which are linked to down below here as well. What's going to come before this in the instructions in your package are going to be admonitions about safety, proper shop safety when it comes to prepping material, when it comes to woodworking. And there's not only admonitions, but there's certainly going to be some other information. Yeah, there is. So what's not included in this installation instruction is the boilerplate material about, it literally says, don't be stupid, protect yourself. That's coming from Major. But they're right. They say, always wear ear and eye protection. There are 4 things that I think every person should use when they're in any shop setting: welding, woodworking, anything. I've been in a metal shop and a wood shop for much of my life, in my adult life, I should say. Eye and ear protection, absolutely. I would add to that, at least as importantly, lung protection. Always wear a mask, always. And don't Don't use the cheap ones, and dispose of them frequently, regularly. You want the best stuff. I can't overstate the importance of keeping particulate out of your chest, out of your lungs. And then also I wear gloves when I'm using woodworking stuff. I don't want the very occasional splinter. I don't want the extreme dryness. Wood sawdust has a tremendous capacity to literally just dry out your hands because it's a sponge, basically. Now, the second page, and what you can't see, it says, and this is extremely important, you're going to need a 5/8 outside diameter router template attached to the base plate or to the base of your router. You know that you have it is not a cactus. Handle, this is your router base. The router guide coming out of here has to be 5/8 outside diameter. If it's not, what you're about to do, while you'll be quite successful likely at routing the material, your hardware won't fit right. So that's got to be 5/8, that guide. I can show you one. The other mandatory requirement is that you use a 1/2-inch diameter bit. 1/2-inch 2-flute carbide router bit, perfect. Whether you have something exotic or something solid carbide or up spiral or down spiral, doesn't matter. As long as it's 1/2-inch and whatever you like. Yeah. Now, that's not in this paperwork because you don't need to worry about that stuff. But I mention it because you're likely going to do the rest of the prep, like the 6 3/4 by 1-inch edge prep, faceplate prep, and then the body. That's where all of this is going to come into play. You'll have to have that. Now this is where the instructions pick up that are included with the hardware. One thing nice about major installation instructions is that they're large in terms of font and pictures. So the FB9 is the 33 FB9 is used in the HIT 33 system, and these instructions go over the entire procedure. This video is not the entire procedure, but you can review that. We're just going to skip to this point, the 33 FB9. Attach the rod guide to the door using 2 drywall screws. Now, what's cool about this is you don't have to worry about measuring anything. As long as you've got the shim plates attached or removed or however appropriately, or not touched at all if you're just doing 1 3/4 thick doors, you're great. Attach the rod guide to the door using 2 drywall screws. There are 2 shims inside the guide to adjust to door thickness. With both shims installed, screwed in, the guide will center on an 1 3/4 thick door. Remove one and you've got a 2-inch door. Remove both, you've got a 2 1/4-inch door. Assuming that you're going to center the hardware in the door, I don't see why you wouldn't. Make sure guide is flat against door stop inside. That can't be overstated. If this is not flat, completely parallel to the face of the door, to the rail, your hole naturally is not going to be where it needs to go. Using a 1/2-inch diameter drill bit, drill 2 flush bolt pocket using the 33 FB9 guide. Here we go. The part number for the 18-inch carbide drill bit is 33 DB1. Let's see about pulling up a 33 DB1. Okay, we will have to search out why that's not coming up at all. Let's see if it's something that... It could be something discontinued, I suppose. I'm going to go to the major site and search that part number. Yeah, it could be discontinued. Yeah, it could be discontinued. Now, I paused that video because I didn't want to have you witness me searching or rooting around for something. But here's a drill bit that would work. FUL 256. This would be good for drilling this hole. So you could buy this bit, and we'll get a link to this bit in the extended description. And I'll tell you, not only because I'm a drill bit salesman, but if you plan on doing a lot of this work, you should order 2, because you're not going to want to have to wait to get one because your bit's gone really soft on you, or you've hit a knot and you've damaged something. You know, you can hit a knot that's so dense that it will actually compromise your bit. It's happened to me. If it's a very occasional, I'd probably just be comfortable with only one. But any sort of production setting, I'd have two. Once you go to the second one, you get the first one sharpened, and then what I do when the sharpened one comes back from the shop, I'll start using that and determine if it's still a usable tool. It may not be, depending on the caliber or the quality of your sharpening service. Okay, so our instructions are here. So at that point, if you're going to continue with the prep, you'll remove the 33 FB9 and then you'll install the FB91, which will give you the ability to route that plate. That's surely going to go on the top. And there it is. D-shaped prep, 2 screws. That'll have to be in the door top and bottom. You'll see a lot of wood doors with just a hole drilled. The bad idea, bad idea, compromises security. Plus, sooner or later, that flush bolt is going to unthread, and you will find it all but impossible to really service the unit when you can't get the door open because it's all unthreaded. That's the purpose of this D-shape. A bolt head guide, or I should say a bolt head, is literally D-shaped on a flush bolt. Let's see if I have... it doesn't appear that I have a photo of it, but let's just quickly dive into a very quick video of this, just so you can see what it looks like. Of the door. Extra long is generally used at the bottom. I like to get that to not buffer to the point where you can actually see it. Of the door, where you have a door that yeah, you can kind of see it there. Right there, yeah. The part of the flush bolt that threads onto the threaded rod, the quarter 20. Okay, so D-shaped. If you're doing the entire project, yeah, the major system would be very good for doing this. There's more than one way to achieve this sort of prep, but if you're investing in major tools, you might as well get everything needed to do the job. Then they talk about the router bit. That base, again, is going to have the right size, have to have the right size guide on it. Plus, it would certainly be that you want to use a plunge router because you won't be able to get deep enough for the body prep. Let's take a look at the template for a typical flush bolt. Yeah, so you're really not going to be able to get deep enough without a plunge router to get 1 3/8, well, 1.5 inches deep, let's say. And that's what it's going to need to look like. And it's really the drilling of this hole that's going to be the trick. I think my record is probably a 3-foot long, or maybe 24 inch, in terms of the depth of what you're needing to drill. But what I'm driving at here is your door is going to be in this orientation. There'll be a stand, and you're going to be over here with your gizmo attached. And you're going to be over here needing to get that drill bit in there and drilled. You know, the cavity is going to look like that. You need to get that drilled straight. It's a lot easier said than done. With skill and practice, you'll get really good at it, and it has been only very occasionally when I had trouble getting it drilled straight, and it was usually a result of the composition of the door. You know, and I've had situations where I've breached out of the top. Well, actually, I've breached over here. That's not fun because I've got to restyle the entire door. The one time that happened, thankfully, it was a non-rated door, so it was just doing a full restyle. But the hole needs to be accurate as well, because if that's not exactly where it needs to be and completely straight in the door, the bolt won't flip very smoothly. You won't be able to flip it back and forth real smoothly because the hole's not straight. So, you know, this guide is going to be certainly a good thing. If you're using extension flush bolts on wood doors, have the factory, have your distributor, Have your supplier do the prep. Don't do it in the field. You know, it's, if you can avoid it, don't do it in the field. Unless you can be profitable at it, then by all means have at it. And that takes us to the end of the installation instructions. Let's also show you, I had mentioned the guide and the bit. Well, the bit I showed you. There's a link below this video as seen here to the manufacturer's page. When you click on that, you'll be able to pull up not only all of the major products we sell by means of this horizontal navigation, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the product catalog. So let's pull that out, and then let's take a look at, there will certainly be a reference here in terms of router guides. The term guide might be far too generic. Drill guide. Yeah, pretty generic. Rod guide, placement rod guides. Let's take a look. Here we go. Okay, so this is the concept. What we're talking about here is you must have the HIT 45 TG6. That's going to be 5/8. You've got to have that. On that same page, which is page 73, you have your HIT 45 RB8. This would be a good tool. Solid carbide, by the way. So short of anything exotic, it's the best router bit you'll get. That would be a good router bit to use. And then, of course, if you're going to be doing flush bolts, you'll just reference back to the product catalog that was here in terms of the faceplate template, but you're going to need a way of clamping this down to the door. Well, this system you don't. This I believe you literally attach this to the edge of the door. Okay, so this is a great catalog for looking into this. If you want to, in my opinion, you'd probably want to do it a little bit more elegantly by having the HIT 33, because that's the item that will attach to the edge of the door in an outright fashion as soon as I can find it. Oh, yeah, it's here. Basically this attaches to the door. Then your plates go on top of this. They thread down. Because this mounts to the door, then you can have different faceplate preps that you'll end up doing. Like a Ives 457 and Ives 458, they're both 6 3/4 tall, but one's 1 1/4 wide. And I don't know that they actually have one for the old 457, but hopefully point taken that, you know, different parts go on there. Let's wrap up this video on camera. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. Okay, in conclusion, this is everything, hopefully, that you ever needed to know about the HIT-33 FB9. There will be some day where I actually demonstrate these tools being used live. That will help you determine whether or not it's the right tool until such a point where we can carve out some space where I can make noise and dust. This is what you get. Any questions on this or any other major product, please feel free to reach out to us. By all means, if what you are trying to do is not obvious and simple and straightforward with what you would order from Major, reach out to me and I will help guide you to the proper item. And if I can't, I'll tap the shoulder of the people over at the factory and we'll be sure to get you the best answer for the jobs that you're trying to accomplish. Thank you very much. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up. Please subscribe and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you. Thanks to our clients, Architectural Builder Supply is building an additional facility, and what follows is not only a look at the acreage that we're building the facility on, but also first the architectural renderings as they exist, or at least the architectural plans as they exist at this time. Thank you very much. Let's take a look. All right, let's take a look at the architecturals as they exist at this moment, or at least it wouldn't be proper to call these architecturals, but it would be proper to call them renderings in the sense of they're conceptual drawings, they're not renderings. So the entire space is going to look like this in terms of a site rendering. This will be a 22,000 square foot building, of which will have specific purpose areas. There'll be a workshop down here. This is a few thousand square feet that will be likely woodworking, metalworking, CNC, things of that nature. This will be an office area here, a private office area. This will be architectural builders supply expanded storage area where we will be able to do fulfillment. The entire space in the center is going to be all of the volume, as I call it. Large components will be able to be stored and stocked there. Machinery that's too large to fit otherwise may be put out here. Specific facility rooms, and then some recreation over here. Let's take a look at that drone footage, and thank you very much for taking a look.